because they are spreading their Islamist ideology in media, in government, in all of the places that matter, right? Exactly. Referring back to this 100-year plan that they have, everything, check, check, check. They're doing everything that they want to do on it. The first thing it says is that we're going to, without raising a sword, you know, they don't believe in jihad like the, you know, like Hamas, Al-Qaeda, like all those terrorists, right? They're going to do it peacefully. They're going to do it, through the wombs of the Muslim mothers, so through making babies, right? And so that their numbers can increase, and so then they can, at that point, sway the political opinion. And they're going to use secular laws against themselves, which they do all the time. And it's left my brain now what the third, and through immigration. Immigration was the third way as well. So they're doing everything that they promised to do, and they're actually quite successful at it. And the reason why they're so successful in the West is because there is no differentiation. People don't understand the difference between a Muslim and an Islamist. And so they are fooled when the Islamists come and they say, oh, you can't do that because it's Islamophobic. You can't say that because it's Islamophobic. You know, you can't show these paintings in the classroom, and you can't have these discussions. People think, oh, we can't do that because we're going to offend the Muslims. And they don't realize, no, you are being led by a militant extremist group, but they don't recognize that difference. So I'd like some advice from you, because I know that this is your area of expertise. So speaking to the people in the West right now, what can we do to save ourselves? You know, like, what can we do to understand the predicament that we're in with Islamists? And what can we do at this point?
Yeah, thank you so much, Yasmine. Yes, speaking about the Islamist ideology in the West, the Islamists are not only pushing their ideologies, but it seems like they have studied the Western societies very well, and they know exactly what they're doing by abusing the open space of free speech, of freedom in the Western societies to their advantage. The same way, for example, we've seen them abusing democratization and the dream for democracy in the countries of the Arab Spring, like Egypt and Tunisia. They did exactly the same thing in the West. The Western societies are open societies. In countries like Canada and the United States, they are very diverse. There are people from different backgrounds. In Europe, it's very cultural countries, very historical, very deeply rooted into civilization. So they know exactly how these societies are thinking and how much they value things like human rights, freedom of speech, and so. So they abuse this space to say, okay, we're just promoting, or just we're speaking up for our religion, or saying things about Islam, and so, until they reach the point of establishing themselves as speakers in the name of all Muslims. And also, unfortunately, because in these Western societies, there is no much education about other countries like the Arab world, the Islamic world, and so people think that these are the Islamists, like these ugly, evil faces are the faces of the Muslims. But actually, no, they are the faces of the Islamists who have an agenda and have a goal that they want to achieve by abusing the open space in these societies. And one of their tools, actually, which contradicts with their abuse of this open society, or the openness and the freedom in these Western societies, is the promotion of the idea of Islamophobia. Because the people in the West should not fall for this lie. I don't say like Islamophobia does not exist. Yes, it exists, of course, like any other type of phobia, but it's not as severe and as big as the Islamists are trying to portray it. The Islamists are trying to make it appear like a Holocaust against Muslims, or that all the Western world is so united against, like, hurting all the Muslims. Okay, and this, fine, you are using the space for free speech in the West as Islamists to promote your evil ideas, and no one is punishing you for this. But when the Western side uses this free speech to protest these evil ideas you're promoting in their own way. I mean, by making a caricature, publishing an article or something, you just go against them very angry and say, oh, this person is Islamophobic, this person hates Islam. No, this person hates you as Islamists. He hates your evil thought. He does not hate Islam because these countries still have very good relationship with all Muslim countries. And even someone like me, when I travel to Western countries, I'm always welcomed by friends. I've never been stopped by any Western country, by the way, just for being a Muslim or something. I travel so easily. I have great friends from all religions, from religious backgrounds. I mean, in these Western countries. But yes, what the people in the West hate are the practices of the Islamists, and they have all the right to protest these practices in their own way. Because, to be honest, it appears like an invasion to these Western societies, especially in Europe. If you have been living for centuries adopting a similar set of ideologies and similar set of beliefs, social beliefs, I'm not speaking about religious beliefs, or a mindset, and then someone all of a sudden infiltrates into this society, an Islamist, I would say, and rather than merging into this civilization they are getting to, they are holding to their beliefs that are coming from a foreign country, and not even that, they are trying to impose it on the people who are living in these countries. So this is the core of the problem. This is the main problem here, and this is why Islamists are giving a very bad image about Muslims everywhere in the world, and how they are playing this game of Islamophobia. And like the West should be very, very careful about this. What the people in the West need to do, first of all, education, either to educate themselves about what Islam is, what the Muslims are, what the Arab world is actually, and how the Arabs are thinking, the tribal dimension of Arab politics, and all that, to educate themselves about this, so they educate themselves and educate their friends, families, and so about all of that, those they create some kind of an immune system against these Islamists when they try like to do things in their communities, in their societies, that is against logic, against common sense. They can stand up against them and say, what you're doing is wrong. The same way, for example, people in the Middle East right now, including me and people like me, and you, Yasmin, who are standing up against Islamists. It's not because we are Islamophobic, obviously. We are not Islamophobic. We are standing against these evil ideas, this evil ideology that they are trying to promote as being Islam. So that's what, because why we do this, because we experienced it firsthand. We know how horrific it is, how terrible it is. The people in the West don't know that, so they need to be educated about that. And I think perhaps it's our mission too, like people coming from these regions, as I think like your program here is so wonderful that you are educating the people, and you are already doing this. You're educating the people in the West about these bad groups and bad people, and that giving them hope also that there are perhaps women in the region and worldwide that can really make a difference and be a threat to those Islamists.